and welcome to the first podcast of That Computer Is Your Mom, which is a Jim and the Hologram podcast. I swore I wasn't gonna laugh. I'm not starting over. This is Allie.
And this is Josh.
And I probably drank a little bit too much. Okay, so we started with the first episode of Jim and the Holograms. It says it's from, does that say 1988?
88, yep.
88. 1988. Which
looks like it's from the heart of the 80s.
Well, I mean, I think that 1988 surely must be like the last year that this show was on, because I remember being younger than like 10 and seeing this show. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch an episode of Jim and the Holograms, which we have already done, and then we're gonna recap it and discuss it, and then that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Okay, so let me put that down. Let's see. Just in general, I'm sure my relationship to Jim and the Holograms will become more clear as episodes go on. But in general, I watched the show when I was a little girl in the 80s. Josh did not watch the show.
I was unfamiliar with this.
Right.
This program.
You're unfamiliar with the program. Josh is also younger than I am, so.
A little bit.
Yeah. And,
also a boy.
Also, Josh is a boy. Should we explain how we know each other? We are married.
We are married.
That's how we know each other. Okay.
That's not how we met. But it is the most relevant relationship now. It
is the most recent relationship development.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to start with the show, like explaining what happened with the plot?
Oh, we're recapping it? All right. There is a frame narrative. And so at the beginning, we are introduced to Jem, who is a celebrity of some kind.
Pop star, but it's not clear at that point.
There's just people screaming and spotlights and so on, and she's driving up in some sort of very expensive looking car.
Expensive looking, kind of Bentley looking car, but it's like also pink.
Right. Almost everything is pink.
That's true.
It seems like.
I feel like this show has really, really shaped my personal aesthetic. Like, I didn't realize, like, how much.
Yeah, I can see that.
But anyway, continue.
Okay, so then she says in voiceover that she's going to explain how she got where she is today. And then we're taken back to the funeral of her father.
Who she says died unexpectedly.
He died unexpectedly. She does not say what of.
She's wearing Is she wearing the stripy dress at that point?
Wouldn't she be wearing black at the funeral?
I don't think she was.
I don't remember.
Alright, so at any rate, her name is Jerica, not Jessica. Jerica with 2 R's, Benton.
Right.
Okay. And so, what happens at the funeral?
We are introduced to her father's business partner, whose name is Eric.
Raymond.
Raymond, that's right. He's a guy with 2 first names.
And a really, like, thick neck.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, he starts off kind of like, oh, if there's anything I can do, like, just let me know. And her boyfriend...
Is he?
Yeah, the purple-haired guy is Jerica's boyfriend.
Okay.
His name is Rio. And he is, like, unnecessarily hostile. Like, immediately.
Is his hair is blue?
No, it's purple.
Oh, purple.
Yeah. He has purple hair.
Okay.
Everyone has has weird hair colors. Except for Eric Raymond has brown hair.
Right. That's why he's evil.
So, okay, so after the funeral, she says that her dad left her 2 inheritances.
Yep.
He's nodding. Can you say that word? Inheritances?
You said it.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay. And one of them is...
An orphanage.
Right. And the other one is...
A record company.
Half a record company.
Half of a record company.
Here's the complicating factor.
Both of them are called Starlight.
They are both called Starlight. Here's the complicating factor in this. Number 1, Kimber is her sister, and apparently gets nothing.
Was that mentioned?
It's not been mentioned. Well, it's never mentioned, I don't think, in the show.
How do you know that?
Well, I mean, it's mentioned that Kimber is her sister, but it's never mentioned that Kimber would be like, bitch, why you get everything? Like,
yeah, that seems fair.
And also, I can't remember if it's Shayna or Shauna, and Aja are like, they're adopted sisters. They also get nothing.
Wow.
So Mr.
Some kind of weird primogeniture thing?
I guess so. Mr. Benson, kind of a douche.
Yeah.
So there's the Starlight House and the Starlight Record Company. Mm-hmm. And then, Starlight House is like, the mansion's all crapped up and like, oh, they don't have any lights.
But it is a mansion.
It is totally an actual mansion. And like Jerrica's like fixing the pipes and she sucks, and like Aja's trying to vacuum and then the vacuum cleaner explodes. It's like weird. And then they're like, oh no, we don't have any money to fix up our mansion. And
our like multitudinous mistakes in trying to do like basic cleaning and home repair.
Right. 'Cause Rio's like, I will fix this electrical thing myself, and then he's the one that fucks up all of the electricity in the house.
Yeah.
And then there's a maid there who then disappears and we never see again. I
did not notice that.
Yeah. And Jerrica's like, oh no, what do I do about the mansion? And she says, she says, well, do what your father would do. Just go get some money from the record company. And I thought that was maybe embezzling.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like that's embezzling, doesn't it?
Because she's not like cash. I don't know. I mean, like, I know there's ways to get...
No, there's no presentation like she's cashing out stock or something. She's just, like, taking it out of the company's money.
Well, then she's in her stripy dress and her stripy hat, and she goes into her father's office where Eric Raymond is, and she's already mad because he fired the secretary, and she marches up to him, and she's like, give me some money for my dumb orphanage. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm in charge. Mm-hmm. And it, like, escalates pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
Where they're, like, yelling at each other.
Not at all, necessarily.
And he's like, I'm gonna make this company the most powerful company in the whole world. And then he's like, because I'm gonna promote the Misfits. And then the most amazing thing happens. They come bursting in from a door that I assume is attached to a conference room.
Or a closet.
Or potentially a large closet. And they're riding motorcycles that look like guitars. They look like guitars. They're motorcycles that look like guitars. And they, like...
Not really office appropriate.
They start circling Jerrica. And then they sing their first song where they introduce themselves as the Misfits. I don't remember the name of that song because they do another song later that I do remember. But do you remember that song? They're just like, we're the Misfits. Like, you know, in the beginning of, like, in the song intro, there's a Misfits part where they're like, we're the Misfits, our songs are better. And it sort of reminded me of that part. And I do think the Misfits songs are essentially better than Jim's songs.
They're all so short.
Well, yeah.
And simple.
It's true. What did you say about the Misfits? That they look like a record executive's like idea of punk.
Oh, it seemed like whoever created the show's idea of punk.
Describe kind of what they look like.
They've got the same like giant hair that everybody does, but
right.
They also have face paint, and they have kind of like tattered clothes in a sort of punk style, or at least a couple of them do.
Yeah, and that is Roxy, Stormer, and the main one, whose name I can't remember, who's the one that is super mean.
Did they even say?
I don't remember if they did.
Is it Trixie?
I don't think it's Trixie.
No, it's not. Is it?
It's not Trixie.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So moving forward. What happens next? Oh, there's going to be a battle of the bands.
Oh yeah, and Eric, the record executive, is going to fix it in the Misfits' favor.
Right. Eric is a major antagonist. I remember. Besides the Misfits, Eric is a large antagonist, at least
right.
In the episodes that I remember. I have like some really clear memories of like a few Gem episodes, and I guess as we get to those, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this one really clearly. Like I remember them like racing cars or dune buggies or something, and
sure.
There was a plot where Roxy was like, I never learned how to read. And it's like, that's why she's mean.
Look forward to that.
You are looking forward to it, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yep. You have your looking forward to it face on.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happens?
Let's see. Then Jerica returns home to the Starlight house. And she receives a mysterious package which contains earrings that everyone thinks look really nice, but actually kind of don't.
What do they look like?
Just like a star sort of shape.
Okay.
But
people are acting like they're like...
Yeah, people are acting like these are amazing earrings, and they're just like pretty simple. This may have been an instance when the writing was not matched by the quality of the animation.
Okay, then what happens?
Then the earrings... Well, then there is a mysterious apparition that addresses her by her full name. Every time it addresses her, and it's weird. And it's in the form of a woman in an outfit that looks kind of like like a future cyborg assassin.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
Kind of.
And she doesn't have any pupils in her eyes.
And she doesn't have any pupils, and she's translucent.
Uh-huh.
And she tells Jerica to go... Right?
Well, what she says...
No, she tells her to follow the instructions that are in the box that had the earrings in them. Which you'd think, maybe just have the instructions in the box and you don't need the whole, like, apparition thing in the first place, but...
She says, Jerica Benton, I have come for you.
That's
and then
right.
there's a commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
You think, like, maybe it's a ghost or something.
Yeah.
So, just pause here before we go to the next part. The reason why I wanted to call this podcast That Computer Is Your Mom is because Synergy is like... Which is the computer lady that makes the holograms happen. We'll get to it in a minute. But basically, like, that's her mom. Like, they never really... I don't think they go into it too much. But, like, her dad made this computer thing, like, after her mom died. and it's incredibly fucking weird. And I think that it's, like, really speaks to a lot of what's going on with Jem, in that, like, it is a thing that is completely fucking bizarre that everyone just accepts and moves on and, like, never mentions it again. But if in your real life would have, like, severe consequences that would cause you to, like, maybe be in a lot of therapy.
Maybe.
Yeah, or to at least have a lot of questions for your dead dad.
Yeah, she seems pretty untraumatized by the dad dying, too, really.
She does. Okay, so so that computer is your mom. It's weird.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the next thing that happens?
They drive to an abandoned drive-in movie theater, I think.
Yes.
And
which also has a star name.
Yes, it might even just be called Star or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then the cyborg-looking thing appears again and tells them to drive through the wall. And rather than doing it, like, slowly and cautiously, like you would if you were going to try to drive in the direction of a wall, they just kind of push on the gas, but it is a hologram, I guess.
Or you could get out of the car and, like, touch it with your hand to see if it was, like, see-through.
Yeah.
Or, like, walkable through. There's no reason to do it that way, because if you've guessed wrong, you're gonna have a problem. But at any rate.
Yeah, it seems like a strange decision.
So
they go inside this drive-in, and what's inside is a giant 80s computer.
What does the computer look like?
Well, there's a big screen, and then there's lots of flashing lights, and, like, dials and things.
It kind of looks like, to me, like a weird organ. Like,
oh, yeah, there's keyboards, aren't there?
Yeah, like a weird, like, organ that you would play. It's sort of like, if you've seen Barbarella, it kind of looks like the Orgasmatron.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we rode, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the woman appears on the screen, and she says that it's a computer called Synergy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is it was designed by her father to be like an audio-visual entertainment system because it creates holograms. And he apparently created this completely unaided and in secret.
He didn't tell anybody.
He didn't tell anyone else about it.
Right. What else did he leave them?
Oh, and he also... So that is Jerica's. Like, it's hers now. And he also gave them musical instruments and a large, like, glam rock wardrobe.
It's true.
And
it's true. It's so weird.
And a car that says Jem on it.
But before she's decided that she's going to be called Jem, or even...
I assume that's why she calls herself Jem.
Oh, do you think so?
The car already says Jem.
Okay, so, like, at what... And so then Jerica's like, I know what we can do with this amazing technology that no one else on Earth has access to. We can beat the Misfits.
Yeah, well, we can crash this, like, local battle of the bands.
Right.
And beat this team really just to prove a point.
Right. And there's, like, not a prize.
No.
Not at this point.
No.
And now, at what point does Jerica decide that she's going to, like, adopt a secret identity?
Unclear.
It is pretty unclear. She just shows up, like, as this other woman.
Yeah, it almost just seems like it's assumed that she's going to not reveal that it's her playing in the band.
Right.
But why, like, what her motivation for doing that is not clear.
Yeah, because, like, is there anything that she is doing that she could not do as Jerrica Benton?
Unclear.
So, to recap, Jerrica has decided to... Maybe that's her grief coming through.
Maybe.
Yeah, Jerrica has decided through her grief and shock at seeing this weird computer mom and the grief of losing her father, and also it becoming clear to her that she didn't understand anything about her father.
No. He sounds like a difficult man to understand, though, based on what little we know about him.
It's true. So, okay, good.
Is this recap considerably longer than the episode itself?
Yes, it's well, not considerably, not yet, but it's already longer than the episode.
Okay.
So...
But that just shows how much information you can pack into the visual medium.
It's true. That's a good point. So, through her grief and loss and shock, none of which is addressed in the episode, it's all subtextual.
No. It's a very, like, kind of child's, like, not really thinking about it, just like, I could do whatever.
And I got
if
a
my
bunch...
parents died.
Right.
You
And
know?
I got a bunch of clothes.
Yeah.
And
She did get a lot of clothes.
Well, yeah. And so she's like... yeah, so maybe the gym persona is her, like... She wants to have access to, like, a happy person that is not, like...
Well, that's dark.
Discovered that her whole life, like, is this non-understandable lie. Or, like, maybe she's just like, I want pink hair, whatevs.
They may not have thought a whole lot about why she has a secret identity and just...
I think that's true, because it doesn't make any sense that she would do. Because nobody else in the band has a secret identity.
Don't they?
No. It's just like, this is Kimber, this is Aja, this is Shayna.
Do they change their appearances?
No. Only Jem does.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah. And her sisters, they're all her sisters, because, like, Aja and I think Shayna are adopted.
Right.
None of them are like, why do you have everything?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think in any other family would be a question. At least it would be raised.
Yeah.
As a question. Okay, so the Battle of the Bands happens.
Right. So they each... Or they don't even show the Misfits song.
No.
Clearly the show is in the bag, not for the Misfits.
It's in the bag for the Misfits, because the other bands are terrible.
Well, I mean, the
you
program
mean
Gem and the Holograms is tipping the scale in favor of Gem and the Holograms.
It's
rather
true.
than the Misfits. We're not invited as the audience to judge which band actually has the stronger song.
That is true. And so then everyone likes Gem and their Holograms better. And then we go back to the Starlight Records, and Eric is getting yelled at by Pizzazz.
Well, first he and Jerrica
They yell at
make
each other.
a rather momentous bet.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part. That's kind of amazing what happens next.
So he says that that's fine. We don't need that. He says that if Jem and the Holograms can be a more successful band than the Misfits, then Jerica can have the rest of the record company.
Yes.
And if the Misfits are more popular, then he will take control of the whole record company.
And then some rando comes up and is like, I am a film producer guy.
Yes.
And I will give the winner of this Battle of the Bands a movie contract and a mansion.
Yeah, the mansion part is real weird. I mean, it's all real weird. I'm pretty sure that's not how film deals get made. Or business decisions about, like, the controlling share of the company either. But
You don't think, like, Sony Records is like this Battle of the Bands will determine who has controlling stake?
I think we would have read about that if it was.
It would be pretty sweet, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're back. No, before that, we're not back at Starlight Records, because before that, the Misfits steal a van.
Oh, they do, yeah.
They steal the van with all of Jerica's, like, ancestral equipment that her dad left her.
No, it's ancestral. It's just like a bunch of stuff that he bought.
And so they're at the van, and Jim and Aja and the rest of them are, like, in the car, in the roadster, like, chasing them, and, like, Roxy's, like, tossing instruments at them, and then they almost...
And they break the instruments. The image kind of lingers over the guitar, like, breaking apart.
Over the cliff.
Because we're... Oh, I guess it's to show the danger of it. I thought it was to... Because it was such a shame that the guitar broke, but maybe they don't really care.
Yeah. No one seems to really...
I guess not.
Mourn its loss.
No.
And then what happens?
What was the last thing you said?
Oh, Roxy's, like, throwing...
Oh, somehow the holograms they drive off a road which is incomplete and unmarked as incomplete, so...
Dangerous.
It's really almost more like the transportation department's fault than anybody else's. But they drive the car so that it's on the edge of the cliff and teetering on the brink, and then they use the hologram projector. Did we explain the hologram projector?
No.
So the main function of the computer is that it acts as a hologram projector, and so those kind of dumb-looking earrings can issue forth any kind of image that they want, so they can look however they want, and they can make things look as though they are there when they are not. Right?
Yeah.
So it can make holograms, which don't look like the holograms you see, which are clearly holograms. These just look like the actual thing.
Uh-huh.
So,
Do you want to tell them the story about the hologram museum?
should I?
You could save it, or you could tell it now.
Okay. Alright. When I was in middle school, the 7th or 8th grade, we had a class trip, and one of the destinations was a hologram museum, which was in Chicago. And it had, like, framed holograms on the walls. And there were all sorts of holograms, none of which I can remember very well. But there was also one with the naked lady in it. I do remember that one because it was very interesting. I was not alone in thinking that.
She had a hologram boob.
She did have a hologram. She had a hologram nipple that was exposed. There may have been 2 nipples. I definitely remember one.
Okay, so they're hanging off of the cliff. We're just gonna keep going. Just keep going. They're hanging off of the cliff.
Okay.
And they can't get out of the car.
Yeah.
And Jerica's like, I will use my hologram to get us out of this. And you're like, but holograms can't move anything. Mm-hmm. But somehow she knows that she can project the hologram and Rio will see Jem, and Jem's like, oh, they're stuck off of a cliff, and then he goes and saves them. How she knows where they are, or like that it's him, and they're like, I don't know. I don't know how she knows that he's gonna be there, or like whatever, but don't think about it too hard. So anyway, she like they send them back, and Rio like rescues them. Rio, the purple-haired boyfriend.
Better at rescuing them than he is at repairing the wiring.
Which he was quite bad at.
He was not very good at that.
And then we like cut to Eric Raymond angrily crushing a newspaper article about Rio, who they call a local youth, even though he looks like he's 42.
He does not look like a youth.
No, not in any way.
Although everyone looks in that 80s way like older than they are, because that is sort of the look.
Yeah. Everyone's like, all the men are extremely bulky and the women are very, very like impossibly tall and slender. And they all have huge hair.
Their hair is massive.
Everyone has enormous hair. Okay, so he's mad. He yells at the Misfits for causing this accident. And Pizzazz is like, whatever, they suck at driving, which seems kind of valid. Mm-hmm. And then they do another song called "Winning Is Everything," mm-hmm. which I kind of love. And yeah. And then what happens?
Let's see.
Is this the thing with the robber?
Oh yeah. Is it Eric? Mm-hmm. So he calls his friend or minion with the like receding hairline and the wraparound sunglasses, and he tells them to do something that will intimidate Jerica and her band and also orphans.
What he specifically says, make her uncomfortable, and the guy cackles and is like, I make everyone uncomfortable.
Something like that?
Yeah. So then...
I think we can assume that he's not a happy person.
Yes. Okay, and then there's the part with the honor jar.
Is it a receding hairline? I don't know what they're trying to do. He's got a very weirdly drawn hairline.
I think it's supposed to be like maybe like a flat top, like he's a greaser. Oh. Do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever they were trying to convey with his hair, I didn't succeed for me.
I think that their idea of like someone who is like a bad guy robber who's in a gang is basically like an extra from Grease.
Okay. That kind of makes sense.
So then the girls are taking up money and they put it in a jar that they call the honor jar. Can you explain what happens with the Vietnamese girl? Her name.
Oh, I think we both think that they called the Vietnamese girl, because there's girls in the orphanage of many nationalities. I think they called the Vietnamese girl Banh Mi, which is obviously not okay.
Because for people who don't know,
That is a food.
That is a sandwich. Yeah. Like, is her last name is her name Banh Mi Pho? Like, I would like to know. Except I don't want to know, because why would you do that? At any, like, don't name people after their, like, the food. If someone is supposed to be, like, ethnically something, don't name them, like, after the food that is associated with, like, their ethnicity. That is not acceptable. Thank you.
Not okay.
Well, I mean, and they're trying so hard to be diverse, you know, and that sort of, like, Captain Planet way. Which is, like, better than not trying, but in this case, I'm gonna say it's a fail.
Always better than not trying.
I don't know. Sometimes it's probably not. You know, you could clear up your, like diversity shitting up about, like, being bad about this kind of stuff by, like, you know, hiring people who are of that ethnicity who could be like, don't name this girl after a sandwich.
Yeah.
That would have
probably been a better approach if they wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate.
The Vietnamese girl I knew in high school, her name was Julie. She was not named after a sandwich.
Right.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
At any rate, moving forward, I don't know, it just bothered me.
Yeah.
So there's a girl who is like she's the tough girl with the bad attitude, and then like really ducktail kind of mullety bit in the back. It's not a good look, and you can tell that she's the bad one because she has like angry hair
and kind of a deep voice.
She kind of talks like, rah, rah. She's got, like, a little snottiness to her voice.
I just forgot completely what her voice sounded like. I'm sorry. I was just speculating. You're right.
Wait, what did her deep voice sound like to you?
I don't know.
No, now you have to do it.
No. I'm not going to do it. It's not a real voice.
Hello.
Yeah, that was it. That was it exactly.
It's okay. She has a normal voice.
Never mind about the deep voice.
For a child on an 80s show, which means that it's an adult imitating a child. There's a little snottiness. Anyway, the bad girl steals money from the honor jar. Mm-hmm. And then she gets caught by Jerica, who's kind of a bitch about it.
Yeah. Considering
that she runs this school for troubled girls, you would think that she would maybe know how to deal with a troubled girl other than to be like, we'll kick you out if you steal.
Doesn't she say we'll just let the others decide what to do with you?
Yeah, but what if the others decided that what they needed to do with her was, like, punch her in the head? Like, there's no supervision here.
It seems like she was going to go with that. she was going to allow that.
She's like, well, the group decided it's head punching time.
It kind of seems like they are, like, at any given point, just a few days away from some sort of Lord of the Flies scenario at this orphanage.
So, at any rate, where are we now? Okay, so I don't...
Very close to the end.
Yes. Angry hair girl, whose name I can't remember, is, like, angry. Yeah. And then Rio wants to stay.
Yeah.
With Jerica.
Yeah.
Because he wants to, like, get it in.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, go away. Mm-hmm. And he sadly leaves. Mm-hmm. And then the robber guy comes in.
Yes.
And then what happens?
He is making too much noise. I guess somewhere along the line, like, frighten them turned into steal their things. Right? Because he's just, like, collecting the things on the mantelpiece, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he...
After he busted in extremely loudly.
Yeah, he busts in and he's taking their stuff. And then, so they all wake up and they come down. And he, like, runs away, right? And he knocks this lamp out of one of their hands. Mm-hmm. And he just crashes through the window. And you're kind of surprised that he's okay.
This is like a second floor window. Like a giant bay window.
Yeah.
That he like jumps out of.
That is not something you can do and just like keep running. You're going to have really bad cuts. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, he just is gone.
Uh-huh.
But then the lamp falls and starts a big fire. And then it says to be continued.
Yes.
And that's actually the end.
That's the end of the first episode.
Which is 18 minutes long.
Which is 18 minutes long. We've been talking about it for 40 minutes.
Whoa.
But it's 18 minutes long. Okay, so...
The funny thing is we have probably left out some important parts, too.
That's true. We left out, like, the whole thing with the first, like, music video where they've got, like, her trapped in these weird bubbles and
Mm-hmm.
Jerica's, like, real nasty attitude, and she, like, escalates everything with, like, Eric really intensely.
Yeah.
So.
She does.
Okay. So if you had to give this episode of Gem between, like, 1 and 5 stars, how many stars would you give it? 5 is the best. 1 is the worst.
What am I judging it based on?
What do you think the criteria should be?
I don't know. Not quality of animation. The animation is, like, not great.
It's very He-Man level style of animation. You were surprised or noted, at least as we were watching the credits, that it's done by Hasbro.
Yeah.
So, the toy company.
Did you have Gem toys?
I did not have Gem toys. I desperately wanted Gem toys, but I did not have any.
Okay. Did you know what they were? Like, was it?
They were, like, kind of like Barbies.
Oh, okay.
But Mattel has Barbie, so Hasbro wanted their own Barbie.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what Gem was supposed to be.
Ah.
I think. Because I think there was, like, a rock and roll Barbie, like,
I'm
around
sure.
this time.
Okay. You wanted a rating?
Yeah. Like, rate it on outrageousness.
Outrageousness?
Yeah. Because when they discover all the Kimber, like, really loves to yell that things are outrageous. Like, that is her jam.
Pretty outrageous, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a computer that projects images of whatever that was a secret from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess this guy just built in his spare time in an abandoned drive-in movie theater.
Right. Well, he also ran an orphanage and, I guess, very successful record company?
A very successful record company and a not very successful orphanage. It seems like he maybe could have been more attentive to the orphanage's maintenance and upkeep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one mentions that at the beginning when, like, everything is broken.
Well, also, like, why is his, like, business partner this, like, super douchey evil guy? I think that maybe we could say for sure that Jerica's dad, kind of a douche.
Yeah. At least not... He made some unsound decisions.
That's true. So,
I will say... well, I'm going to say a 3 in outrageousness.
3 in outrageousness.
Yeah.
I think I agree. It's like I find, as I keep mentioning, the entire Will situation pretty outrageous.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna bump it up to a 4 because, like, also they're gonna get a mansion, like,
Oh yeah.
from a battle in the bands.
That part, the weirdness of that part, should not be understated because the guy just really comes up. He just was like out at the park at the Battle of the Bands. And first of all, he's just like a middle-aged guy who came out to the Battle of the Bands
With his, like, groovy mustache.
Yeah. Wait, was he middle-aged? I'm
think
just like
so.
making these details about the people up, and I don't remember.
I think that's awesome, and we're not gonna check them. So
Okay. And then he's like, you know what? I like this argument that they're having so much that I'm going to like throw a huge cash prize behind the winner for no obvious reason.
Also, in outrageousness, how long were the Misfits sitting in that conference room on their motorcycles that look like guitars?
It may be that Jem like came in and interrupted whatever meeting they were having.
She does just...
Or not Jem, Jerica.
She does just sort of like barge in.
She did just barge in.
It's true.
That was probably what the secretary who was saying you can't go in there was going to say. There's a meeting in progress. You can just wait.
A motorcycle meeting?
Until 1. Well, they came on their motorcycles, I assume. They shouldn't have driven them inside, but that was what they did.
It's... What the fuck? Oh, it's...
You never see those motorcycles again, either. You'd think if you had a guitar-shaped motorcycle, you would drive it around all the time.
I would drive it everywhere all the time. I would get my picture taken with it, and then I would put that picture on the motorcycle.
About the computer, like... They say it's designed as like an entertainment system, but why would he keep it a secret? It seems like it should be. It was a business venture, right? Mm-hmm. You would think you would develop it through the company and not like put it out in an abandoned movie theater.
Maybe he didn't want to share it with Eric.
Maybe.
Also, here's a thing that I'm wondering. Okay, so if you put your laptop on your lap for 5 minutes, you're like, ow, this is hot. Like, if her earrings are, like, projecting realistic holograms, like, how hot must her ears be?
I don't think they really knew a whole lot about computers.
Well, that's clear. But... yeah, I was just wondering about the battery life, which I shouldn't be wondering about, but I am.
Also, was her dad really into, like, women's glam rock fashion? Because he has a super extensive collection.
I was like, clearly her dad is, like, Tim Gunn, because, like, his, like, fashion, like... because he also knows all about, like, trendy women's fashion, which you wouldn't think he would have time to learn about with all the other things that he's doing, but he's really got his finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're wondering about?
That I wondered about?
Yeah.
I wondered about the frame narrative where the show starts with her already being a very successful celebrity. It seems like it undercuts the whole who's going to win the Battle of the Bands thing a little bit. And I just wondered what the show got from that. Like, why does this need to be a story that's being told from the future? Why not just start at the beginning?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Come on, Jem.
I absolutely, the other thing I wanted to say is that, like, there is, like, no way to understate my, like, love of the show when I was 8 years old. Like, you cannot, like, there's no way that you could say, like, I love this show more than, like, anything in the world, like, more than like, more than I wanted to go to do anything or have anything. Like, this was the thing that I wanted, was to watch Gem, like, all the time. If there had been, like, Netflix then, I would have just watched it fucking constantly on an iPad in my room. And my parents would have been happy because I would have been, like, content and quiet.
So you're saying when you were 8, you didn't think this frame narrative seems to be unnecessary?
No.
Okay.
I was just like, this is like the coolest thing in the world. Everything about this is the coolest thing in the world. And it clearly, looking at it now and looking at my like personal life choices, has like in some way like really imprinted itself in my subconscious.
Wait, do you mean beyond your clothes choices? Or mostly your clothes choices?
Mostly my clothes and, like, hair choices.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like...
That's true.
My choice of, like, you know... My, like, love of holograms and,
That's true.
And frame narratives and,
Yeah.
motorcycles that look like guitars.
Yeah.
And our,
But everybody likes that.
the orphanage that we run
Yeah.
for cats.
That's actually kind of true.
Oh, is there anything else you wanted to say? Or, like, wrap it up?
I think that's it.
Okay, so, Gem, Season 1, Episode 1, that's the end.
Truly outrageous.
It was truly outrageous. Alright, that's it.